Tease is an understatement. They're hitting us over the head with a sledgehammer. I feel like they're pushing it so hard that when it does happen, if it does happen, I'm like, oh, okay, well, it was obvious because it's been pointing to that. And then if it doesn't happen, I'm like, well, yeah, they sold it so heavy-handedly. I don't know if I'm very interested. I'm starting to lean more towards I'm sick of seeing them in 3 different segments, so 1 for each of them. So that's 3 segments. They usually have at least 1 or 2 with them together, so that's 5. 5 segments on average every Raw. That's an absurd amount of the Shield. We used to wait for 3 hours because it used to be 3 hours and like 7 minutes. Raw used to always go over by like 7 minutes. We used to wait for 3 hours knowing that Stone Cold wasn't going to come out to the end because the week before Vince McMahon said he was banned from the building. So we all knew, okay, at 3 hours, turn it on because he's busting through and he's going to do something ridiculous. But we always watched all the way up till then for everything else that was going on, but also the hope maybe he'll come sooner. That suspension of like that. I mean, that slow pace, that slow burn. They don't do it anymore. There's no art to it. It's shoved them down your throat. I'm already over seeing the Shield together. I'm done with it.
I don't know, man. I really dug his promo, and usually I'm the one, that comes out and says, "Look, why are you going to hit us over the head with it? Just tell a good story." But I think it is a good story, especially because right after that, when Baron Corbin came out and was like, "Cool, you could fight Roman Reigns, you could fight Seth Rollins for their respective championships, or you could fight Braun Strowman." Dean Ambrose during that whole promo wasn't his usual wacky self from what WWE kind of pasted him with. He was more of like hey, how about I just come kick your ass? Then he goes, "No, you're going to fight Braun Strowman." And he put up a hell of a fight against Braun Strowman. Like, that was a really good Dean Ambrose showing. And the only caveat I'd add to that is that he got the shit kicked out of him later. But, I mean, that was the whole Shield that got the shit kicked out of him. It wasn't just him.
Yeah.
And each time he would go to the back and he'd be like, if I was a better guy, I could just be I could be the champion, basically taking your title or your title from Reigns or Rollins respectively. Yeah. So I think they played it well. I think that was closer to what we would have seen back in the day. It's just because we're more in the know now. I think it comes off a little bit more like, oh, okay, you're just playing to what the fans are saying.
I think they're teasing this heavy though, and because of how heavy they're teasing it, I don't think it's actually going to happen. Like when Seth turned, it was out of nowhere. Like you didn't see it coming. It hit you 100% out of nowhere, and you were just like, "What the fuck?" I remember watching that episode of Raw and literally having to pick my jaw up off the floor when he swung that steel chair at them.
Same.
I couldn't believe it. Like that was the best way to make that happen. And now I feel like they're teasing it so much, and everybody's been anticipating it for so long that I feel like if they do it, it's like, meh. I feel like they're better off not doing it, and I don't think they're going to based on how heavily they've been teasing it.
Yeah.
Maybe they would turn Roman. Like maybe they're seeing how, and I'm not saying it like in the usual way, but because I agree with you. The original turn, we didn't see Rollins getting turned, but they're ham-fisting it so much, they can't turn Rollins again. It would be ludicrous to turn Rollins again, especially because he's the most over, but I think that's it. They didn't know how over Rollins was going to get. Rollins is now one of the top, if not the top babyface on Raw. And so if they turn Reigns now, and Reigns is at the top with the championship, having him go against Rollins doesn't seem so far-fetched of a conclusion anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.